Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to hit on the $1,000,000 question for every mom out there. How do you do it all? So this is a loaded question and I'm really excited to dive into this today. If we could have a coffee chat about this very question, I think it would be a very fruitful and encouraging conversation that would evolve through it. And so we're just gonna have a little chit chat together. So grab a cup of tea, or if you're got some dishes to do, and let's dive into this topic. So this is a video collaboration with Jessica from the Waldock Way and Abby from Rooted in Rest. They have monthly collaborations where they talk about different homeschool topics. And so this month's topic is, how do you manage it all? How do you do it all as a homeschool mom, and just being a mom in general, right? It comes with its challenges. And so I sat down and gave this one some thought. So I may be glancing at some notes because I want to make sure this covers the ideas and thoughts that I have unfolding in my mind when I take on this loaded question of how do you do it all? If I'm honest, this is a question that I have received through the years of how do you manage it? How are you doing all these different things? And I think I just need to first say, whether it needs to be said or not, is state the obvious, is I don't do it all. I don't. And no one does. And especially in our social media driven society, which I'm on and I'm a part of, sometimes we are just getting a snippet of people's lives and it does look like they are doing everything and they're doing so much, and maybe they're even doing it well. But I think all of us are doing what we can, and the things that we are choosing to fill our days with may look totally different than someone else. And so it's not that we're doing it all. We're just doing what we can in our time for our family. And I'm sure you could say the same thing for yourself. I've looked at many people and like, wow, they're doing so many things. But the reality is they are most often just doing different things than my family. I do think there are some practical things, though, that can help us be a good steward of the things that we have committed to. There are some ways that we can make sure that we're being a good steward of our time, even when it comes to commitments, so that we can feel the things that we do have on our plate, we are doing them well, so that we can do them all in essence. So these are a few things that I think are really important, and just keep this in mind. This is my perspective. This is our family, and each of us have a unique situation and what that looks like. So I would love to hear your thoughts on just that topic. How do you manage it? What are things that help you? Share it down below, because I do think that this playlist can be a great resource of hopefully encouragement, not looking the grass is greener on the other side, but just seeing how other moms deal with the thick of the full life that motherhood, in addition to homemaking and homeschooling, really is. So now I want to talk about some practical things, helpful things that I hope will bring you value. I don't like to just share videos that I don't think are gonna somehow give you a little bit of support or encouragement, and so I'm hoping that's what this video will do. So the first thing that I think really helps us do and manage our life and do a lot of things is actually having a heart of gratitude. Because when we walk through our life with thankfulness and just appreciation for everything around us, whether that is, being able to homeschool, having good food to eat, having, the ability to go for a walk or have friends in your local community, all of those things, just having a heart of gratitude and thankfulness actually makes you feel like you have a lot, because you do, right? And so it's kind of like I think a mind shift, Because if you're grateful for what you have and what you're doing, then you will feel satisfied with what you're doing, how you're doing it. And then, you just have this heart, this sense of gratitude. Hopefully that makes sense. It's something that I've just really worked at, and it keeps me from falling into dark places of frustration and resentment. And the grass is green on the other side. And so that is something that I would say. Now, how can you do that? Is really just meditating on, God's word and being grateful, just cultivating that. It's the only way I can describe it. Is when you see the sun come out in the morning, you say, thank you, Lord, for the sun. I'm so thankful for that. And so just keeping that mindset. So the second thing that I would say when you're trying to manage all the things and feel like you want to do all the things is actually celebrating small wins. So again, this is another one like gratitude where it's a mindset shift. And so that could be, let's say, with exercise for me, getting in 4 days and celebrating that and, sharing that with friends. It could be, I've made a new recipe, or I've managed to make my own homemade bread, celebrating that, sharing that with friends. It could be also for your children, maybe when they finish reading a book, celebrating that, taking them out for like a little ice cream cone or something. But celebrating those small wins makes you feel like you're accomplishing things, because all those small things really build up to bigger things, right? And so celebrating the small wins, focusing on those, gives you a sense that you are doing a lot of great things. And so don't just go through life like a robot. Stop and appreciate and celebrate all the little steps, victories, and journeys along the way. And I think that really helps me feel like I'm doing so much more than if I didn't celebrate those small things. The third thing is also kind of mindset, but also just a practical tip. I think it's really important, especially as moms, that we make a personal commitment to getting a little bit better, doing a little bit more every single day. I think that we sometimes have big, glorious visions, things that we want to do, and to do it all, we can't do all these big things at once, right? We can't read 50 books in, a year if we do it the last month of the year. We can't run a marathon if we train like a week before we registered, right? We can't, lose 20 pounds if we are not taking these daily actions. And so I would say, and this is something that I've worked on for a few years, so it does work. And Charlotte Mason actually talks about this when she is encouraging moms to improve themselves in mother culture, in art, in eating well, in movement, in getting outside. So often she is actually speaking to the moms when it comes to educating ourselves. So how we can do that practically, this is where you would be shocked at how you'll feel like you're doing all the things, but it's because you're just doing a little bit of a lot of things. And it's almost like if you look at your child, if you're doing the Charlotte Mason education and you look at your child's whole year and their terms and how they're only doing a little tiny bit, right? Every day or a couple times a week. But when all of that is added up over the whole year, they have done so much. It's exactly the same thing for us moms. It's exactly the same thing. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing, but if we're committed to doing things just a little bit better, so that could be, if let's talk about some practical things. So maybe you see a mom and she's exercising and you want to exercise and you don't feel like you can fit that in and it's never going to happen. Well, why don't you just commit to 3 days a week, 15-minute walk, and do that for a couple weeks until that has become so ingrained in your day that you're not thinking about it, and all of a sudden your capacity to do another thing, which starts to add on, you start doing all the things, is because you're doing just a little bit of many things. So let's say you want to read 20 books. Maybe this is my first year trying for 50 books. So how can I do that? How can I manage another little thing? And that is by just picking up my book for 15 minutes a day instead of, scrolling my phone. But it's just a little thing. It's a little bit, right? It's nothing extraordinary. And in our society, there is a big push at doing like a singular thing, like doing one thing really, really well. Yet then when we look at somebody and they're doing a lot of different things, we're like, what? Well, that's because we're doing a little bit of a lot of things. And that has really helped me personally feel like I'm still able to play piano, I'm able to read, I'm able to exercise, eat healthy. The list could go on of things that people comment to me and say, I don't know how you're doing that. Well, I'm not doing anything fully committed in this season of my life. I'm not doing anything to an extreme point, max success. I'm just doing small things here and there to bring enrichment to my life, enrichment to my family's life, to my health. And that is a practical way that you can grow your capacity to do a lot of things in less time. So I know this is kind of a chatty video, but hopefully that is helpful. I think it's a very practical thing, but important. Next, like to talk about the ability to be flexible and the ability to pivot. So there have been seasons in my life when I have done other things that I've had to let go. Different, ministries. I used to be very involved in our local Daughters of the American Revolution, which was like a volunteer organization. I was very involved with that until up till a couple years ago. And I knew that if I wanted to do other things well, that was something I had to let go. And I'm a, people pleaser by nature. And so I had this like war inside me of, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to disappoint people. And this could be different for you, like what it is. But the fact is, it's really important that every, 6 months to a year, we are considering what do we have on our plate? Is this serving my needs, my family needs right now in this season? And if it's not, then being willing to let it go, to pivot, to take a break, to be flexible so that you are avoiding burnout, or even just getting frustrated with the pace of your life if that is something that's, upsetting you. So just be willing to do that. That's definitely really hard for me. So everything I'm sharing with you today is my own, based upon my own reflections and things that I have to constantly deal with. And so just being flexible, being committed to those small, little, making better movements and better things and better choices, just a few little ones, and focusing in on those instead of just being flexible with all of that, I think is just important. So the next one is very, very practical when it comes to managing it all and, doing all the things, which I hate that term. It is actually having a routine. And this is something that Charlotte Mason really hones in and talks about, whether it's for the child or it's for the parent. And that is the importance of rhythms, routines, expectations. And I would say as a mom trying to manage many things, and all homeschool moms are, it is important, whether we are intuitively a scheduler or not, it is important in whatever capacity that it looks like for us that we have a schedule, that we have a routine. We know that will show us what our capacity is, what we can manage, and then being okay to saying, that's it, that's all I can do. So here are some things that are important that are part of our family and my personal daily routine. And by doing these, by making these a habit in my life, it actually gives me more room to have a greater capacity for things like church, maybe extra field trips, activity, work, right? I do Instagram, YouTube, Young Living, multiple different things. All of those can only be added to my schedule because I've committed to having certain things in my routine which allow for me to do that. And so just a few examples are sleep. I make sure I just go to bed. And sometimes I'm like, man, I didn't catch up on everybody's stories that I want to see on Instagram. Just is what it is. Like, if I want to keep doing what I want to do for our home, and then I have to just go to sleep because I can do more if I go to bed. I'm not nursing a baby right now, and so I'm in a season where I can get a full night's rest. And so going to bed by 9:30 and getting up at 5 is absolutely, it's a non-negotiable. Eating well, choosing good foods. Just focusing, if you guys have watched any of my, what I eat in a day or dinner recipes, you guys know that I focus on eating protein, low glycemic foods, not a lot of sugar or processed foods. And by choosing those foods, my mental capacity, my energy, the way I'm sleeping, all of those things are improved. And because they're improved, I actually can do more. I actually can fit in more. And there have been hard seasons, when nursing or pregnant, that doesn't look the same. And I pay for it and have to pivot and remove things from my schedule. And then I have to just be grateful, focus on gratitude, and be okay with that season, knowing that it comes and goes. But in this season, these are things that allow me to put on more on my plate. It actually increases my capacity to do things. Exercise. It is really important for me to go out and exercise every day. It's just a non-negotiable because that improves the way I feel about myself. It improves my energy. It's good for my nervous system, my lymphatic system. So many other things that, again, by committing to them, I've now increased my ability to add on more other outside of the home things into my schedule, or even inside of the home things in my schedule, whether that is doing more, handicrafts with the kids or whatever that looks like. That's really, really important. So if you focus on, and those things could look different for you, like whatever those are, but for me, it's really important that I get good sleep, that I am choosing good foods, because when I don't, I instantly can feel the funk and the difference, and getting an exercise. And how do I get those in? That's where the habit and the routine happens. And just making sure that on Sundays, I'm, doing a little 10-minute meal plan, meal prep. I have just the same meals that I usually rotate through. What does that look like? Getting up early so I can get that in, my exercise in right in the beginning of the day, because once my kids are awake and they're ready for breakfast and the day has begun, there's no stopping my day. It doesn't stop like so many other homeschool moms. So making sure that happens, and then just being a good steward of my time and cultivating that habit. I realize it got kind of dark in here. I don't know why. The sun decided to go behind a tree. But back on planning. So circling back on just planning and having a routine. The other thing I would say in terms of doing it all is planning ahead. So when it comes to homeschool, when it comes to field trips, when it comes to mom days out, anything like that, is as minuscule as you can make it, whether you're planning out your books that you're going to read, your menu plan, all the field trips you're going to do, the more you can plan those out in advance, knowing full well that you might pivot and be flexible, but if you can plan them out, you will be able to do more. You just will be able to do more, because then you're not flying by the seat of your pants and every day trying to figure out, what are we eating? What are we doing today? Who are we, are we hanging out today? So many just things, right? So if you can just plan things out, and practically speaking, I would say, like, field trips, our co-op, all that stuff we've been planning out, months in advance. My menu plan, I plan out a whole week in advance. Play dates, dinners with friends, planning those out in advance. My YouTube, my Instagram, planning those out in advance. All of that stuff is ahead, so that it just makes me feel like I can do so much more. That's the only way I can explain it. And it also just gives you like this peace of mind. And then you just gotta be flexible, because sometimes it doesn't happen. And I've been reading a book called Respectable Sins, which I'll definitely give a review over my summer review book. That has helped me so much, having prayers and scripture verses to turn back to, because sometimes it's really hard to pivot. But it does help if you're struggling with trying to do all of the things and you want to, and you feel you need to. Then my encouragement to you would be to sit down for a half an hour and try to look at the list of things you want to do and see if you can get them on your calendar and plan them out in advance, so that you're not thinking and mulling over them every single day. All right, I was trying to get better lighting, but it looks like this is what we have. This is what we have to work with today, because the sun decided to go behind the clouds. I need to get a studio light, but alas, this is where we're at. So those are just some of the things that, when it goes through my mind, when I hear someone say, how do you do all the things? I don't do all the things. The things that I do are important to us as a family and myself. Therefore, it is invaluable that I plan in advance, that I have a routine and schedule, that I not only do I have it, but I stick to it. And then when it deviates, I work on not being frustrated or impatient with myself or my family. Those are the things that really help me do many things, not all things, but many things that are important to our family, including homeschooling, including being at home and being a homemaker and cooking nutritious foods and all those things. So because I have thought about what's important to my family, what is necessary, and what do we prioritize, because we have thought through that question, that sets us up to be able to plan, therefore, how can I manage all of this and manage it well? And doing that by caring for my health and taking, the things that I need to make sure that I have the energy, making sure I'm getting my sleep, all of that does allow me then to do the things that I want to do. So hopefully that is helpful and practical in some way, and you just didn't listen to me talk, but we were able to, communicate over YouTube of just, the struggles that there are in motherhood and in trying to manage so much and manage it well without losing our marbles or having an aneurysm. So those are some practical things that I have found in terms of, just mental and practical things that have really helped me. And so maybe something was different for you. Maybe something was encouraging. I hope so. Thank you so much for being here. If you have some thoughts on how you manage it all, being a busy homemaking homeschool mom, let us know down below, and I will also include the playlist so that you can check out some of these other wonderful videos and words of wisdom from moms that I look up to. So I will see you next time.